Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Mass Communication 310. This is week 15, where we're going to discuss how advertisers use graphic design and layout. Now, similar to PR, advertising is all about reaching your public, but the goals of advertising and PR are a little different. From last week, you may remember that public relations is really about creating a relationship between your organization and the public. Often it's about reacting to various things going on in the public eye. And you're not necessarily trying to get your audience to do anything. It's more about just cultivating that brand relationship with your audience and your potential customers. But in advertising, the goal is very specific: promote, sell, and persuade. So where PR is more strategic communication, advertising is marketing communication that is from the organization to the public with the goal of them buying or doing what you want them to do. It is openly sponsored, so both the audience and the organization understand that the advertisement is meant to persuade them. And so a lot of times the audience is very skeptical about the tactics you may do and use to do that. And so your goal as an advertiser is to bring products, services, and causes to the public with the purpose of them acting on it and not feeling like you're selling them something that they're not going to be able to use. Now, the difficulty in advertising is there is so much advertising out there. You are competing to get eyes and wallets with a vast number of organizations and companies. And so advertisers use many different means, often within the same campaign, to get people to buy their products. So you can have physical advertisements like billboards. You might even see product placement within media. There are even like bus ads, which we'll see in a slide later. But you also most commonly deal with like print media, such as newspapers or magazines, newsletters, etc., digital advertising on websites, and social media advertising. So in terms of design, advertising and design are very connected. In order to have a good ad strategy, you need to find ways to get your audiences to view your products and services positively in order to persuade them to buy it. The most common way to do that is through effective words and visuals. So it's all of the same techniques and design theory that we've already talked about throughout the semester that makes advertising effective as well. So designers are a critical aspect of any advertising firm or agency. Now, there is a new form of advertising and design in many companies that is becoming more popular. So I wanted you to read about it. If you haven't read the blog that I requested you read in week 14, please do that. But UX and UI make design even more important in the digital age because it takes into consideration how design can impact the user's experience as well as their reactions to various designs. Now, UX is user experience, where UI is user interface design. Both rely heavily on graphic design in order to accomplish their goals, but UX really is talking about any of the interactions that a potential or active customer has with a product. So if you are using an app, for instance, and it's not doing what you want it to do, well, that's a negative UX experience. Meanwhile, UI really looks at the look and feel and overall presentation of a product. So UI is actually more closely related to graphic design, and it's has a lot of overlap within the tech world with graphic design. And in fact, many graphic designers are really finding that UI and even UX jobs are more readily available. So this is part of the reason that I want us to discuss UX and UI within advertising, because there are a lot of growing jobs within this industry. Now, you can see with UX specifically, the ways that technology, business, and design overlap with one another. And design is such a critical part of creating that user advocacy and really making sure that the interaction with the product and the company is well done. So here are some examples of how mobile app designers have used design through UX and UI. So you can see in that design, we have a lot of brand colors. We have a really specific font that is light and matches the tone. The visuals, when you change the amount that you're ordering, the visuals change along with it, which helps make the overall user experience better because it reflects what you're actually getting. And so that's just one example of UI and UX being used. Here's another. So notice the use of certain colors like green when something is successful. I'm sure if the transfer hadn't been successful, you would see red, right? So here color theory is really telling your audience what the purpose of your interaction is. And so again, you can see some of the basic concepts that we've been talking about in design all semester really applying here. And I will post these slides for you. So if you want to go through and look at these other examples on the video, you can, because there are some really interesting ones. But it's important to remember that design is not just about mobile apps and technology. Really thinking about critical user experience and user interface is important for every single industry. So no matter what you're going into, taking these design concepts with you is important. Here's an example from engineering.
I saw the life inside. That's a beautiful bridge in a beautiful location in Uruguay. They wanted to design a bridge that was useful for pedestrians and for vehicles, because there's a lot of fishermen that like to hang out and fish on the bridge. So usually people drive fast through straight bridges, but they decided to build this bridge as a circle to slow down vehicles and make vehicles aware as pedestrians cross. So there's two curves right where the crosswalks are, so pedestrians can be on the outside of the bridge and on the inside of the bridge, take photos and fish. The only way to slow down vehicles at conflict points to make them more aware is with a horizontal deflection or vertical deflection. We don't want to have speed bumps on the bridge, so these curves are a nice touch and they make the bridge into an icon for the country.
So here you can see that even engineers are utilizing UX and UI design within their engineering because they're thinking about the end product. What is in it for the user? And in this case, not only the drivers who are driving on the bridge, but also the pedestrians. And so user experience and UI are somewhat complicated terms that really just mean we're thinking about how our products and our design affect the end user. So a couple of different things that you should know about UX and UI in terms of graphic design are ways to determine its effectiveness. So there are two primary ways that we do this in advertising specifically. The first is through A/B testing. A/B testing is really simple. It's taking two designs and testing them on a similar audience to your target audience to see which one they like or appeal to more. And so you can see Madam's sponsored ad on the left is the exact same ad, but they've added some text on the one on the right to see which one performs better. Now, I'm sure you recognize from your graphic design experience through this class that having the 20% off, a new collection, the text that kind of draws your eye in a little bit more to the one on the right, that's going to be your more effective ad, and it's going to get people to click on it more. So you can see just by testing these two things, you will learn that by having text on top of your photo will make your advertisement more effective. Here on the right, Jasper Eyeglasses is testing whether having a video about 5 new colors and shapes or having a image works better. And typically within social media algorithms, we know that videos will actually perform better, but it's interesting to see which one will get people to click that learn more button to really determine which is the more effective ad. So this is an example of A/B testing your product, and this is what you're going to do for your discussion board this week. Eye tracking is another really high-tech way to learn about the effectiveness of your goal. So you can compare different designs and then test their effectiveness based on where people are actually looking. Check this out.
Eye tracking provides valuable data for exploring the user experience of websites, games, applications, software, and virtually any kind of user system. To improve web usability and increase conversion rates, interaction designers, UX specialists, and market researchers apply eye tracking throughout the design and development process. By using this methodology during a usability test, you can see live what the user sees and immediately understand where usability problems occur and identify what features in your website capture most interest. With the powerful post-analysis and visualization tool, you can replay eye tracking videos and get an aggregated view of several participants on a heat map for both qualitative and quantitative analysis. You can test and see how the users view your website on different screens and devices. By using wearable eye tracking, researchers can also test in dynamic environments to measure how users interact with technology and information at home, in the office, and while they're on the go. Through observing users in a natural and real-world setting, researchers can get new perspectives by applying eye tracking in their research to identify opportunities for innovation. Knowing what people actually see helps companies optimize the design and placement of ads. Eye tracking reveals if your communications capture and hold attention. You can also see how the users interact in multiple screen environments and measure how they shift their attention between different marketing messages and content. Eye tracking helps you understand your consumers and create effective user interfaces and advertisements based on those insights.
So here you can see a little bit of technology where it's tracking where your eye is going across the screen, across your ad, can really help your overall design. And a lot of advertising companies are investing in this type of research in order to make their ads more effective and more eye-catching. So when you're creating your advertisements for print, there are a couple of things you need to think about. The first is your USP, or unique selling proposition. USP is what makes you stand out as a product, a brand, an organization. And so this is the reason that people will want to buy your product. It's the specific benefit that you can offer better than the competition. So the main idea behind having a strong USP is that you're going to attract new customers and maintain existing ones through this unique selling proposition. Here are some examples you might be familiar with. Head & Shoulders tagline, you get rid of dandruff. It's very clear what makes them stand out. If you buy their products, you get rid of dandruff. Antacid, fast, incredibly fast relief. Well, their USP is that they are fast, that their medicine is fast acting. Southwest Airlines says we are the low fare airline. And you'll notice in almost every single one of their ads, they put the words low fare in along with low prices on their ads because their USP is that they are low cost option for flying. So find what your brand and organization's USP is when you're making your ad so that you can really make that stand out in terms of your advertisement and graphic design. We also want ads that grab attention. In a very busy, convoluted world, it's hard to hold viewers' attention. And it's really hard, particularly with advertisements, where your consumer is already aware that you're trying to persuade them. So the more you can grab someone's attention, either through clever headline use or writing or visual attention, the better. So make sure you're stopping your audience in their tracks with what you're doing, such as clever writing like cancer cures smoking. Why does cancer cure smoking? Because smoking causes cancer and then you die. And so therefore you don't smoke anymore, right? And so just flipping the normal words, smoking causes cancer, really makes this ad stand out. And you can notice that they don't use any other types of visuals because the headline itself is attention grabbing. Here on the left, you see a bus wrap, like a plastic wrap around a bus that's advertising for a zoo. But the way that the design has been made, it looks like a boa constrictor is, squeezing in on the bus. Now, again, this is just plastic wrap, but because it is visually attention grabbing, it's pretty effective. It will make you stop in your tracks and go, what? Another advertising tip is finding what's in it for me for your audience, also called WIFM within the industry. What's in it for me is pulling out the services, features, or benefits that your audience will most appreciate. A lot of times, because we are budget conscious peoples and societies, we tend to want to know what's the deal. Is it free shipping? Can I get a bundle with a cheaper price? Is it the lowest price in the market? Whatever it is that makes this the best product for the individual, what makes it most beneficial for them, that's really what you're relying on. So here you can see a simple photo left and right. One has the dog, one doesn't. What's in it for someone to adopt a dog? Well, Pedigree says it's happiness because a dog makes your life happier. Calls to action are really, really important in advertising. If our end goal is to persuade someone to do something, then we need to get them to do it. So we need to tell them specifically what we want them to do. Here, The Great Courses has a YouTube ad in which they are telling people, install the app. It's a very clear button, you understand, and it's learn anytime, anywhere. That's what's in it for you. You can also see it's free, right? And so the call to action is very, very easy. And if you were to hit that blue button, you know that the app would install, and therefore it makes it easy for your audience to do that call to action. So make sure your call to action is very clear and that your audience understands how to complete the action. If it is getting someone to enroll in a program, then you need to provide them the website where they can enroll in the program easiest. So if you were asking someone to apply to the University of Montevallo, for instance, you wouldn't send them to montevallo.edu. You'd send them to montevallo.edu/apply, because that's where the application is to apply to our university. We also want to make sure that the ad seems urgent. We want to put a timeline in it. You want to act now before the what's in it for me runs out. So the more you can push urgency or timeliness in your ad, the better. Here, Sankobe, which is an environmental agency, says, see the reality before it's too late. And they're hoping to help penguins whose populations are decreasing. Now it's very visually interesting. It's very graphic, but here we see, the diminishing timeline as the ad goes on, and then see the reality before it's too late is the tagline. All of this visually and word-wise makes it urgent. Act now. We also want to make it emotional. Pull on those heartstrings whenever you can. We want to show people why it matters to us as individuals and why we should care. Also, once we show them the emotion, we want to show them that it's easy to make a difference in that emotional impact. So you can make a difference for just $60 or 60 cents a day, give a little and help save lives. And then you clearly see the call to action, donate today. So this is a pretty effective ad because it pulls on the heartstring by showing a cute dog. It tells people why it matters, and it shows them how easy it can be to act. You also want to use testimonials. Testimonials are people who have used your product or service and tell others how great it is. We tend to believe users more than we believe the brand. And so this is why, we have reviews on different products like on Amazon or rating systems. Although we should know from media literacy that those can be manipulated as well. Now, it's even better if those endorsements or testimonials come from celebrities because it draws on their influence. But testimonials of individuals is also a really great way to show people, hey, this has worked for me and it can work for you too. Now, again, one of the most important parts of advertising is visual design. We want to focus on visuals. In fact, many ads these days actually don't have hardly any text at all. You can see on the Chupa Chups, I think it's called, the lollipop ad on the left, all it says is it's sugar-free. But the writing isn't what is interesting. What's interesting is seeing how the ants are going around the lollipop when normally they would be attracted to that sugar. The visual here emphasizes the fact that this lollipop brand is sugar-free. On the right-hand side, we see, a very violent punch of the individual, but what we're really supposed to see is that drinking and driving is also very violent. And so it's connecting those two things, but the image itself is what's very striking. So always think visually when it comes to advertisements. Now you're going to start creating your own ad. I want you to practice both advertising design as well as UX and UI testing through our project this week. So you're going to create 2 different ads that are very similar in nature, but have a slight difference in it to promote applying to the University of Montevallo. I've provided you with the dimensions, the brand standards, and the brand toolkit for our university. And these ads would appear within the print edition of Shelby Living Magazine, which is a Shelby County magazine publication in their print edition. So make sure you read all of your project requirements as well as finish the discussion board where you're going to UX test through A/B testing design, which ad would actually be better for your audience. Hope you guys have enjoyed learning about advertising. Have a great week.